I'm John Hinkle, the senior pastor of First Presbyterian Church here in downtown Murfreesboro. This is your Saturday morning preview of your Sunday morning sermon, which I'm doing about 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. I've just kind of finished my sermon. I think it's good. Just going to throw that out there. Is that all right? Did I say that? I think it's good. We're ending our series of sermons on good fishing stories found in the Bible. We started off with talking about how Moses, through God's strength, turned the Nile River into blood, killing all the fish. We talked about Jonah getting swallowed up by that monster and being in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Bobby preached on the call of Peter, James, and John as they were fishing. And this Sunday, we're going to end with the Gospel of John in another fishing story. Sort of similar to the fishing story that Bobby talked about, only different because it's coming from the Gospel of John. And as I have said before, the Gospel of John is way different than the Synoptic Gospels. So in the 21st chapter, John has a fishing story. We're told that after the resurrection, the disciples find themselves not in Jerusalem where they've been, but all of a sudden they're at the Sea of Galilee. And at the Sea of Galilee, Peter turns to the disciples and says, "Hey, it's the Sea of Galilee. Let's go fishing." And that's kind of logical, right? That's kind of ordinary for them because they ordinarily go fishing because some of the disciples, as we know, Peter, James, and John, and even Andrew, they're fishermen. They catch fish. So we're told that they go onto the boat, into the water, and then they fish, but they don't catch any fish. And then they notice this guy on the shore. Only they don't know it's Jesus. And Jesus calls out to them, "Hey, have you caught any fish?" And they call back out, "No." And Jesus, who they don't know is Jesus, says, "Well, cast your nets on the other side of the boat." And when they did, they caught a great number of fish. So many fish, their nets almost broke. And in that moment, John says, their eyes were open. And they recognized Jesus. They recognized the risen Lord. So they bring the boat back to shore. As a matter of fact, Peter, he's in such a hurry, he can't even wait till the boat gets back to shore. He jumps out of the boat, swims to the shore to get to Jesus. And when the disciples finally get to Jesus, Jesus says something that is just so interesting to me. He says, "I've made you breakfast." And they sat down, and Jesus gave them some bread and some fish, and they ate breakfast together. Now, it's interesting, and I point this out in my sermon. The end of the 20th chapter, as John tells his story of the resurrection, he ends his 20th chapter with these words. "There were many more miracles I could have told you about, but I didn't have time to tell you about them. I told you what I told you, though, so that you might believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. And in believing, you would find life." That's what I have done. That's why I have written my gospel, so that you might believe Jesus is the Messiah. And you read that thinking, okay, if there's anything next, meaning if there's another chapter, and there is, chapter 21, you would think that it would be about how we tell the world, and in this case the disciples, that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God. But instead, according to John, they go fishing. And I used to think, oh my gosh, have they dropped the ball? But John, remember, writes so that we might believe. So even in this fishing story, John is writing so that we might believe. And believe what? Not just that Jesus is the Son of God, but I think John is writing to show us how we show the world Jesus is the Son of God. It's through service. As a matter of fact, Jesus, I think, makes it very clear. And what he doesn't do as opposed to what he does do, right? He doesn't preach to the disciples a sermon. He doesn't give them some great intellectual thought. Jesus makes them breakfast. Jesus serves them. So in our Sermon Sunday, that's what we're going to talk about. Why this is so important. Why this is so important for the church to understand and grasp what the world wants and how the world understands. It's not through our words. It's through our actions. So listen, I hope to see you either at the 8:30 service or 11 o'clock service. I got some great news for you. We will have the choir with us singing. It's going to be a little bit different because they'll have masks on, be spread out, but they're excited. I'm excited. That's exciting. The choir is coming back. How wonderful is that? Listen, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Now I've got to turn off the camera.